welcome to Edward Rowe, who's going to tell us about what it means to be a zoologist and look at pets today, and we'll find out what our pet is really thinking.
Hello, I'm a pet scientist. What is a pet scientist? Well, they look at the behavior of pets, and we're going to talk about dogs today, and they also consider pet nutrition. So anyway, let's get started. So dogs. What can we learn about dogs? How can we observe them? What do we know about what your dog is thinking? A lot of people have got dogs. You may have a pet dog at home, but when you go for a walk, you can see dogs playing together, running. Why do they do what they do? So what we know is, and I'm sure a lot of you feel the same way, that pets are many people's best friends, and they're actually part of your family. But not only that, dogs have got the most amazing abilities to do things we can't do, and they actually work for us. So what do? Well, for example, they collect sheep together for the farmer so he can bring them into the shed and collect their wool to make you a woolly jumper, which is a great skill, which we can't do, but sheepdogs can. And then there are other dogs that actually guard, look after, and will start barking and send an alarm if something like a fox comes to a farm, or in some countries, they actually use dogs to protect them from wild animals. And then there's lots of other things that dogs can do because they've got these most amazing abilities. They can smell things that we cannot smell. They can even smell if someone's ill, and they bark to tell them. And of course, blind people, they help blind people go around indoors and outdoors. They can be trained to do this, these dogs, special dogs, and they make blind people's lives so easy, and also deaf people. They can help deaf people by hearing, say, a doorbell ring, and then they go to the person, give them a nudge and say, oh, there's someone at the door. And they can even find someone who's lost. If there's been an earthquake, someone's buried in the ground. With their fantastic sense of smell, which is 1,000,000 times better than ours, they can find someone. So we use dogs for lots of different reasons, and they're trained. But how did that happen? How come dogs are so useful for us, and how come they're so friendly? Well, it all started 40,000 years ago, which is a very long time, with cavemen. I don't know if you've seen in your books about people who lived when they lived in caves before television, before cars, before mobile phones, very long time ago. And those people lived in the caves, and they had their little fires, and they chased various animals which they had to kill and cook their meat for their food. And then these friendly wolves came to the campsite and begged for food. And so the people started feeding them and looking after them. And they chose the friendliest and the cleverest wolves to be parents. They kept the wolves, and they kept their cubs, the baby wolves. And they brought them up, and they played with them when they were very young. And these cubs grew up to live happily with people and would follow them and learn from them. And the cubs actually treated the people like their own. Now, what is it about wolves? Well, wolves are very clever, and they live together, lots of them. They live in what are called packs, and they have to hunt together. They're very clever hunters. So it was very easy for wolves to learn things. And also, they like to play. And so they played with each other, and they had special signals that they would say to each other, I understand that you're top dog and I'm not, And so you're in charge. And with these signals, they lived peacefully together. They didn't fight. They lived together. So people kept doing this, and they kept doing this uh, year after year after year. And after a long time, people turned the wolves into dogs. And the dogs learned to hunt the food for the people. And they learned to keep enemies away. And so people started changing dogs into things they needed, like fast dogs for catching food, like clever dogs for chasing sheep from the hills and gathering them together so that people could get their wool, big dogs for guarding, and small dogs. You want a small dog if you want to eat a rabbit, and you send the little dog down the rabbit hole and chase it out. And that's why they did all these things and produced all these different dogs of different sizes. And in fact, today we got 300 different dogs, different types with different abilities, different shapes, different sizes. And we call them breeds. And there's a big difference in the breeds of dog. So you can get a St. Bernard dog that's 100 times heavier than a little Chihuahua, which is amazing. You get big elephants, you know that, don't you? And you get tiny mice, but you don't get huge mice and you don't get tiny elephants. But dogs, they're quite different because people have turned them into what they need and what they want. So we still see a lot of the things that wolves do naturally in our dogs today. And I'm sure you all know, if you've got a pet dog, you throw a stick for the dog, he runs to catch it and he brings it back to you. And that's the same thing that wolves do. They bring back bones from a hunt and bring it back to the den to eat. And so we're just seeing the same thing in dogs that wolves do. So let's get an idea of how long ago it was. Who were these people who made friends with wolves? And I'm sure you know, you've got an idea that your grandparents are very old, aren't they? And the parents of your grandparents, so your grandmum's, your nan's mother would be your great grandparent. Well, how long ago is that? So actually, it's 1,000 times great. So it's great, 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 great. Well, I haven't got time to go through all the greats. There's 1,200 greats to take us back all that time ago. As I said, before television, before cars, before streets, before shops, when people had to hunt and they turned the wolf into the pet dog we have today. Now, what we're going to do is one thing that behavioral scientists do is they want to understand the communication that dogs make between themselves, how they talk to each other, and also how they talk to us. So in your house, you see your dog, you see him come in from his walk, you see him do lots of different things, and you can actually read his language. You can see what he's trying to say to you by what he's doing. So, and this is important because we're going to ask you to actually look at these with your own dogs or dogs that are outside. We're going to ask you to think about the eyes, the dog's eyes. Where's he looking? His ears, are they back or to the side or forward? His body, is his body stiff? Is he standing up straight or is he crouched down? And what's his tail doing? Is it stiff or is it wagging? What is your dog trying to tell you? Well, I said that dogs live together and they hunt together. Wolves live together and they hunt together, and so do wild dogs. And they have to do so peacefully. And so they've got all these different signals with their ears and their bodies and their tails and their eyes that tell another dog, oh, I know that you're top dog. I'm going to let you eat the food first. I'm not going to mess about with you. I'm not going to interfere with you. And then the top dog knows there's no competition, and that's how they share. So they don't run away. They all live together, but that's how they share. And what the dog does, your pet dog, he thinks that you are top dog. And also sometimes they think that you are their mother, because you feed them and you care for them. So let's have a look at some things that dogs do and see if later on you'll be able to recognize them. So if a dog is frightened, you can see three dogs here, three pictures of dogs, and you can see the dog on the left, he's looking straight at you and his ears are up, and he's an alert dog who's normal, and he's quite relaxed. But if we now look at the dog on the right, look at how flat his ears are. He's not looking at you anymore. He's looking away. He's looking up. And that's because he's frightened and because he's saying, I'm not top dog, you are top dog. What about dogs that are top dog? And let's look at the top two pictures of the dogs first. So on the left, we've got the normal dog. And then on the right, we've got a dog. He's got his mouth slightly open. He's staring. His ears are more forward. He's a bit challenging. He's saying, look, don't come near me. I'm top dog. Okay. So give me space. And you can see that in the bottom right, where actually the teeth are shown. The dog is showing his teeth. He's really staring at you and he's saying, back off. So these are some of the signals that you can learn. And if we now go on to, these are actually two dogs that are playing, but we can see the same thing. We can see the dog on the left is saying, you're top dog, I'm not. He's crouching down. His head is looking away. His ears are flattened. And the dog on the right is staring and he's erect. He's standing up. He's firm. He's staring the other one out. So the one on the right is top dog. And then this is the full range of different things that you can see. And one thing which is interesting is if a dog is really frightened, then he'll lie on his back and expose his tummy. And that dog, you can see that in the bottom left, that dog is saying, really, you are the boss. I'm not. So let me stay and leave me alone. And that's what the top dog will do. The dog on the right will recognize that there's no competition. Okay, you can stay around, but I'm going to eat the food first. So what we haven't covered is you can also see what dogs are working out, what they can sense in the world around them. And their senses are quite different from ours. We work mainly on our eyes. Our eyes are our main sense. Not for the dog. It's smell. Dogs can smell things that we can't even imagine. And so when you see a dog on a walk, or you see a dog in the park, or you see a dog trying to sniff your hands, that dog is learning about you from your smell. And hearing. Dogs can hear 4 times further than us. They can't see so well. They're colorblind. They can't see anything red. And they can't see anything very close up. Very good from a long way away. But when you're out watching dogs, you can actually see them using their different senses. What are their ears doing? Are their ears pointing backwards, forwards? Are their ears pointing in a direction of a sound? Are they sniffing the ground all the time? That means that they're learning about the smells all around. So what we thought that maybe you could do is you could actually do some dog watching. And so there's lots of things to understand, but the first thing you must do with a dog, or any study you do, is you should draw it and write its name, because we need to know this particular individual, the individual you're going to study. And there's lots of things to know. So, does your dog have a favorite person? Does your dog like to go in a favorite place in the house? Where is his bed? What does your dog do when he comes in from his walk? Or when he eats, when he goes to his food? How does he stand? What's his tail doing? What's his ears doing? Where's he looking? Is he still? So, and also, what does your dog do when he meets another dog? Now, you can't do all this, but you just, I think, need to choose one thing and see if you can see the different positions of the ears and the position of the tail, what the tail's doing, the body. Where's the dog looking? What are his ears doing? So if you do that and make some drawings, or make a drawing and write its name, then you're on the first step towards becoming a behavioral scientist, a dog scientist. Now, what all scientists do is, yes, they make notes, they write down what's happening, but they don't interfere. They keep away from the animal they're watching, because if they go up to the dog and they start petting it, then the dog will change its behavior. So you want to pretend that you're not there. You want to be as far away as possible and not interfere with your dog when you're making a note of its behavior. So this is all the different body signals that the dogs have between each other. And you can use that as a reference point. But the main thing, I think, is to make your observations, try to write them down, do a drawing, write your dog's name, and with your drawing, try to show where the position of his ears, are they forward, backward, the tail, where he's looking, and whether he's standing up or sitting down, and also running around. Okay, thank you very much.
Does adults but mean different things? My name is Sydney. How does dogs help deaf people? My name is Roisin. How does a dog have a good sense of smell? Hi, my name is Mayella. Why did you become a pet scientist? My name is Boyan. How long do dogs live? My name is Greta. What dog has the longest fur? My name is Vanessa, and why does dogs be loyal? My name is Lola. Do dogs understand humans?